Papá Mitocondria, ¿qué te trae a Argentina?
So
Why Argentina?
he said, Mitochondria dad, what brings you to Argentina?
Nothing brought me to Argentina because I needed to go to Antarctica. And Argentina was in the way. So this is the last continent for me on the bucket list. So I had to go through Argentina to get there. It's the only way there unless you know another way.
Tu profesión es ser neurocirujano. ¿Qué fue lo que hagas que salgas de esa Matrix y que te obsesiones con el sol?
You're a neurosurgeon by profession. What made you step out of the matrix and study so much about the sun?
20 years ago. 2005. Issues with myself. I had issues with myself that I had to try to fix. I went to the primary care doctor. He told me what to do. It didn't work. 2 or 3 times. It actually got worse. And it goes back to the statement I made to you a little while ago about Einstein. You keep doing the same stupid shit over and over again, you get the same result. It's insanity. So you have to give another look at the data, say, where what we're doing is wrong. Turns out it was wrong. So when I was at a meeting in Alabama on minimally invasive spine surgery that I do, something happened to me there, and a lady that was there who worked for a biotechnology company in California, she said, I can help you. I'm going to send you 6 papers, 7 papers, and a book. I want you to read it. I read it. I thought what she was trying to tell me is to get the big pharma company in trouble, but I took it a totally different way. I said, maybe what's in the book, is it possible? That was the rabbit hole. That's all it took. And then it all ended when I took a trip with my family to the Mediterranean. And I stopped at another bucket list. Michelangelo's statue, right at the base. I said, what's the difference between perfection and me? And then I looked up and I saw the sun and a bird sitting on the edge of a ledge. And it made all sense to me. I said, it's always been about light. And I totally missed it. And the bird made me realize it was the last extinction event, which was the asteroid. And then I put it all together like that. I started writing everything down on the way home on the plane. That's where I wrote the quilt document that sits on my website even today. 30 different ideas that all link to light, water, and magnetism.
Como neurocirujano, ¿qué crees que le podrías decir a la población en general que le podría llegar a ayudar?
As a neurosurgeon, what do you think you can tell the people in general that could be really useful for them?
Nothing.
Okay.
To be honest with you, neurosurgery is good for like acute injuries, but when you have a chronic injury, centralized medicine, not just in the United States, but anywhere in the world, it's no bueno.
Okay.
But when you begin to realize that there's another path of decentralization, the way we think, like focusing on what we're good at, but what we're not good at, then force us to open our own minds to be curious. The truth is there's many centralized doctors that need their own punch in the mouth so they can begin to help patients they can't help. Like when you say you two have a baby and your baby comes out and you have a very unusual tumor called DIPG, which is a pontine glioma. You're like, how can we make a baby and then a baby comes out with cancer? Neurosurgeons today can't answer that question for you. But guess what? There's an answer. And the neurosurgeons that listen to this, centralized, they need to dig deeper and find the answer to that question so that this problem can stop. Now, most people do it for diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that. We're not doing that in medicine. We're not anywhere in the world. Now, we have some hope in the United States that maybe with Bobby Kennedy and Trump, maybe the first chance, maybe. Do I think so? No. But I don't take people's hope away. I'm like, okay, have I tried to help in that way? Yeah. But to be honest with you, after being involved from the outside, I don't have a lot of trust that's there. The interesting thing is, what we talked about in the beginning of this, do I think involving Bitcoin in healthcare decisions is going to lead us to that resolution faster than the legislative changes inside of America and medicine? Yeah, the reason why is the big criminals there are the hospitals, the big pharma, all the people that control healthcare. They all have to be, the insurance companies, they all have to be taken apart. You can't do that legislative. Like, I try to tell people this all the time, and I don't know if it resonates or not. People think laws always matter. Criminals don't give a shit about the law. So what does that tell you? Now you need to do more than the law. And this is where Bitcoin comes in. Bitcoin is more than the law. Why? Because it instills a type of justice that is completely decentralized. In other words, it wants results. It demands return on equity. And if there's no return on equity, no, we're not going to spend more money for more bullshit. We have to have good returns. It's accountability. And that's kind of what Milei is trying to do here in Argentina. He's taking all the excess money out and say, look, we're only going to spend money on things that help the people, not detract from the people. And right now in the United States, to prove my point that money is the source of the problem, the United States spends more money than any country in the world, and we have the worst health than pretty much any country in the world. So why would you want to spend any more money on the system? That's stupid. That's like you trying to fight a fire with a garden hose, in Los Angeles. It makes no sense. But some stupid people out there want to do that. Those are the stupid people that you don't want to talk to. Let them be stupid with their people. Because you can't be kind. I mean, look, this is what Malays try to teach your people. The people that don't like Malay, they're never going to like Malay. That's okay. Leadership doesn't require you to be liked. What it requires is accountability. Got it? So when it comes to the doctoring side of this, the doctor needs to be accountable to the patient. My job is to tell you what I think the real problem is. Your job is to follow it. If you don't follow it, I fire you. But if you do follow it and you get better, then what do I ask for you? Continue and tell all your friends so they don't come and bother me. If they need me, they can call me. But the real goal of a doctor is to make himself less useful over time because his lessons are so good. Like, we don't have to have discussions with the orange tree to make oranges, do we? No. We just have to make sure it gets enough water, a little bit of sun, and get out of the way. Same thing with health.
Recién hablaste de luz, electromagnetismo y agua. ¿Cómo crees que afecta el electromagnetismo a la salud humana?
So you just talked about light, electromagnetism, and
Agua.
and water. How do you think all those things affect health?
They're foundational. That's like you ask me, how does a stone form a building? Piece by piece. How they connect. It's very simple. You cannot have health without those three working in perfect unison, with no errors, perfect fidelity. It's like saying, how can Metallica make a new album if the players don't play together? It makes no music. It's the same thing. And the problem is we built the world. Look where we are now. We're using all kinds of fake things to make this video. It's a problem. That's not the way we should do it. Now, do we need to learn how to use the tools that we have better? Yes, we do. Have changes already started. This is the reason why, I got Engine to make the daylight computer, no blue screens. Why we have the glasses to block the blue light. Why I tell people don't use the sunscreen. Why I tell people. Today I just told a lady who's from Buenos Aires who's whiter than her. I said, get out in the sun. I'm a gringo from the 59th latitude. It just came from the winter and I got better tan than you. I was like, come on. You can control this. You don't need a doctor. to tell you this. Maybe some people do because they believe the centralized bullshit. But that's where it has to stop. The patient and the doctor, you have to begin to trust the doctor when they tell you good things. When they tell you bad things, you have to push back on the doctor. Like if the doctor says take a statin, use sunscreen, and put glasses on, shake his hand, say thank you. You can still be friends, but you can't let that person drag you under the water anymore.
¿Qué factores crees que pueden influir en una disrupción metabólica que a largo plazo hace que enfermemos? ¿Crees que esta situación de disrupción metabólica se puede llegar a revertir?
Well, I think the single number one thing is when you use the word metabolic, there's an assumption that biochemistry controls everything. It controls nothing. Light controls biochemistry. So when you want to talk about metabolic regulation, you have to talk about light first to understand how metabolic regulation happens. So let me give you an example why I think the question doesn't have good face validity. Up until last year, everybody believed that biochemistry ran the same way like in Argentina, United States, UK, everywhere, okay? Then a paper comes out and shows that if you put 27% red light on somebody, lowers their blood glucose. Explain biochemistry. Biochemistry goes, They don't learn that in school. So you make an assumption, everything in the school, everything in the book, that the victor's right. That's the biochemists, the people that control big pharma, the people that control centralized medicine. You believe that they have all the answers. Turns out, nature just told you, no, you don't. And then you go and look further. You start to find out, wow, blue light increases blood sugar and insulin at the same time. And we've known about this for 15 years. Why doesn't your doctor talk about that? That's your job as the patient. You can go on my Twitter feed every day and find it. I've posted it, I don't know, maybe 50,000 times in 20 years. Especially to the food gurus that want to tell you it's all about food and exercise. I'm not trying to tell you food and exercise aren't important. I'm trying to tell you they ain't at the top of the pyramid. Light, water, and magnetism. Okay? Uno, dos, tres. Okay? The rest is vertigo.
¿Crees que se pueden revertir las condiciones de una enfermedad metabólica?
This is easy. I don't think. I know. Light absolutely can reverse these things. The problem is, the real question you should ask is, with the modern world that we've chosen, with the AC power grid in this hotel, with the AC power grid on all this, how likely or not is it for a lot of people? Depends. It comes down to their choice. That's the big problem. I can tell you my own story. 3.5 years ago, I was in way better shape than I am now. But 3.5 years ago, I had to make a decision. Do I go back into the hospital to find out the bullshit with COVID and go back and work or not? I had to make that decision. And I did something I probably didn't want to do. But I did it, and I found out the truth. And I've been telling everybody the truth for 2 years. Every podcast I do. But it wasn't great news for me. Do I regret it? No. Because now, all of you are, everything we're told, not so bueno. Right? That's the point. The point is you have to make a risk-benefit analysis. And if it's worth it, you do it. And then you know, because of the question you asked before, can you fix it? Yeah, I know I can fix it. It's just going to take longer when you're older, and I have to do more things right, which is part of the reason why I left the United States and moved to El Salvador, closer to the equator. And I had to keep flying back and forth.
Esa era una de las preguntas que quería hacerte. ¿Por qué decidieron mudarse a El Salvador?
That was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. Why did you decide to move to El Salvador?
Well, the number one reason there was Bitcoin. Because Bukele made Bitcoin legal tender 4 years ago. I was in El Salvador before it was legal tender. It was made legal tender, I think, the last day I was there. And that told me that that president was going to be returning freedom back to his people. That immediately told me as an American that El Salvador will be the best place in the world to live, probably for the next 50 years. Why? Because the president is going to do something that not even the United States has. And then he followed it up with other things. That's when I said, okay, I got to put my chips all in. Just like I told you before about Malay. The choices that he made for the Salvadorian people are bigger than the decisions that George Washington made for the British people that told the king, fuck you. That's the truth. I want to be in a place like that. I want to be in a place where the government has decided to get out of the life of the people and let the people become who they can become.
Se ve que estudiaste latitud y altitud dentro de lo que es el Sol. ¿Dónde crees que le podrías sacar mayor beneficio al Sol estando en Argentina?
So you studied altitude and latitude of the sun. Where do you think in Argentina would be the most beneficial regarding the sun?
Probably, my opinion, Mendoza. That's the reason why the wine is good. Remember what wine is. Wine is creation of photosynthesis. Humans are like houseplants, we're just more complicated. So, if the grapes grow good in Mendoza, why wouldn't people? Why? You think about it like this. Mendoza is more north, that means it's closer to the equator. The other thing is closer to the Andes Mountains. Andes Mountains come from the Ring of Fire, which is volcano, which is magnetism. Also, what's where the magnetism is? Much better magnetic flux, high up because of the volcanoes, closer to the sun. So technically, if you look at a latitude basis, the sun is stronger there than it should be because it's so far up in the air. The other good thing is, any place you have volcanoes tends to have groundwater that tends to be deuterium depleted. So the water likely that's coming in Mendoza is probably better than most other places that have population. Although I still think, my opinion, Patagonia has probably the best, because it's so low latitude. But for Argentina, the other thing that's, I think, really good is you also have way better food production than just about anywhere else in the world. It's not been polluted by big agri. The meat here is good. Remember, meat is also a function of photosynthesis. Humans use animal photosynthesis. So do I believe the parts are good for Argentina when you put them all together? Yes. And most of your population lives in Buenos Aires. Okay? That's not so good. But everybody, I think, in Argentina knows, yeah, we have good wine. But nobody realizes that that's a clue that the sun, the water, and magnetism are better in that area. Do I think Argentines live in a much healthier place than the United States? Yes. But you still have the bullshit all around you. I mean, up at the top of this place, they have a place we can sit. We see the EMF poles on every building. That's not good. That's the inverse square law. So a big city is not a good place to be. But do I still think you can do well here? I think so. Do I think the top of the continent is even a better story? Yeah. I think a place like Suriname or Guyana, these right now, this is untapped jungle, huge oil, big gold, 600,000 people in a country. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a place I'm gonna go visit next in South America. Why? Because that really interests me. So if I was in Argentina and Malay does what he has to do and he fixes things, I'd be buying Bitcoin crazy. Why? Because eventually my summer house is gonna be in Suriname.
You mentioned Mendoza and wine, and I want to leave this for the final of the podcast, but this is one of the best wines of Mendoza.
The funny thing is, I think this may be the wine that Vladimir gave me. Let me look. No, it's not. It's different. But that's funny. That is really funny.
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Como neurocirujano, ¿qué recomendaciones podrías darle a una persona que pueda llegar a tener neuroinflamación o una enfermedad neurodegenerativa? Que no sea armar crucigramas.
As a neurosurgeon, what recommendations would you give someone that deals with some type of neurodegenerative disease or some neuroinflammation?
That depends. You have to remember the first thing you have to get to the patient's head is what inflammation effectively is. It's charge separation. So inflammation is always positive charge. Negative charge is what makes us healthy. What's the thing that makes the most negative charge in our body? The sun. What do you need to get the negative charge? Where does it come from? It comes from water. That water has to come from the mitochondria you make. What does it do? The sunlight knocks out electrons from that water. Free electrons, all negative charge. So you need to have more negative charge than the positive charge in the body. So the problem is the mitochondria is not making enough water, or you're not getting enough sun, or the most likely, both. So those are the things that you have to get to the patient. When it comes to food, what food has the most electrons? Things that swim in the ocean. Right? Remember, the water is all electrons, so anything that swims in it's going to have a lot of electrons. So this is the reason why marine seafood chain is big. Now, I know Argentina is the land of carne. I'm okay with carne. Just eat a little bit of seafood from the Atlantic Ocean and you're okay. In the beginning, try to stay away from probably classic things, like carbohydrates out of season, fruits that don't grow here. Like at this hotel, they have, fruits here all day, and I'm like, yeah, you don't grow grapefruit here. This is not Buenos Aires. This comes from, Colombia, and those are the kind of simple things. But I need people to think, instead of thinking like food, like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, think about food like electrons and protons. And if you understand that when you're sick, you need more electrons, you just add electrons to your mix, and that's it. What's another way to get electrons that's probably even cheaper that we haven't talked about? Take your shoes off. Go outside. Touch the earth. Same thing with your hands. We're the only primates on Earth that have eccrine sweat glands in our hands. When you shake somebody's hand, oh, you got sweaty hands. Or why do you make cotton socks? Well, because your feet sweat. But you don't realize the reason for that is to make a better connection with the earth, because when the sun hits the earth, it makes free electrons. You get those electrons for free, but you don't get them if you got rubber on your feet. It's good if you wear leather sole shoes. You probably have more of a chance doing that in Buenos Aires because you guys have leather everywhere. But leather in the United States has gone away. Like, you've been in LA. You go buy even expensive female shoes, it's all plastic and rubber. It's bullshit. So you want to embrace that. Anything you can get a free lunch to get negative charge, that's what you want to do to minimize inflammation.
Okay. Veo que hablas mucho del sol con efectos positivos. ¿No ves algún efecto negativo en el sol, como por ejemplo cáncer?
So I heard you're speaking a lot of good about the sun, but is there any negative side of the sun, like cancer, skin cancer?
No, actually, skin cancer is prevented by the sun. So I just had this discussion today with our tour guide. So if the dermatologist and ophthalmologist are right that the sun is toxic, then it stands to reason that everybody who has melanoma, squamous cell, or basal cell carcinoma, their vitamin D level should be through the roof, right? Because you know that you make vitamin D from cholesterol from the sun, right? Mm-hmm. What does the literature say in the dermatologist? The people that have cancer have the lowest vitamin D levels. So if you have low vitamin D levels, what does that mean? You're not in the sun. It's impossible. The story they sold you, bullshit. Why? so that you keep coming, keep doing stupid shit. Okay? That's the reason why. The light that's above us, the blue light, that's what causes the problem. That's the real issue. So no, the sun does not cause skin cancer.
What do you mean by blue light? You mean
Look
that's
up. You see that?
artificial
LED
light.
lights. If you had a spectroscope right now, you would see that the spectroscope of that and the sun outside are not equivalent. But you think that Luz is the same as Luz outside. Wrong answer. Not even close. This Luz has no UV, no infrared A or B, or C technically, near infrared. And that's the problem. The sun has it all.
The sun has all of them.
Together.
Together.
Playing like Metallica. This is like the guitar
Yeah.
and the bass drum. That's the problem.
And the sun, because it has all of them, the blue light from the sun is not harmful.
No, because the antidote is red. This has almost 60% of the red taken out.
Okay.
Así como diste información sobre el cáncer de piel, ¿tenés también información sobre vitiligo o lupus, otras enfermedades de piel?
Same story. I mean, those autoimmune conditions, you get vitiligo for the same reason. Same light causes it. The difference is the tissues that you get it in. So vitiligo affects the T regulator cells. The blue light is the big effector there. You know, the same thing with lupus. Lupus takes out another one of the toll receptors in the immune system. So the way I try to get people to think like this, and it's good that we're in your country, because you do have a subway. You know, a subway has different stops, okay? These diseases you just mentioned are different stops on the subway. Why? Because it knocks out the mitochondria in that specific cell. Now, when that happens, it creates the collateral damage of the disease. We call that the phenotype of the disease. And when the heteroplasmy rate goes up, meaning the mitochondria gets worse, the engine is worse, the phenotype gets even worse, okay? It may even start to cause other autoimmune conditions, which is exactly what happens in autoimmune conditions. This is the reason why people that have like Hashimoto's are much more easy to get melanoma. You may not know this. You know that people with Parkinson's disease are also much easier to get melanoma because of the effect of dopamine. People are stunned when they hear this. They then hear this from the neurologist. The neurologist never tells them this. Why? Because the neurologist doesn't understand how light works in neurons or in skin cells. Your skin is the photoelectric battery of your brain. That's the key. So almost every single autoimmune condition starts in the skin, and it affects the gut. The functional medicine doctors try to get you to believe that it starts in the gut, then affects the skin. It's not true. You know where your largest amount of T cells are in your body? Your skin, and your skin is the largest organ in your body. Mm-hmm. The second most common place is the gut. But anytime you have gut and skin issues, guarantee you're going to have a brain issue. So you asked me a question before about neurodegeneration. Where does it start? On the outside in. So maybe the doctor should start asking the question to the patients, tell me about your environment. But they never ask that. Oh, you have a brain tumor? Let me check your genetics. Nope. It's not how it works. That's how it works in the book that Big Pharma told them to read for medical school. But that's not how it works.
Nuestro organismo tiene muchos receptores de dopamina y no deberíamos estar preparados para obtenerla constantemente. ¿Por qué se rompe en el largo plazo?
Our body has a lot of dopamine receptors, so why we're not receiving all that dopamine? Why is it broken the majority?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's broken. The different receptors, I need you to understand, at least the audience needs to understand this. We have, I think, 6 different dopamine receptors. What does that mean? Dopamine is like a semiconductor. When light hits it, another frequency of light comes out. So when you have 6 different receptors, it's like having 6 different semiconductors. So when light hits it, the same light that cells emit, which is extreme low frequency UV light, the light that comes out is different frequencies. That light has a different fidelity for the signaling track that it works with. So this is like, okay, the number 1 train knows to go to La Boca. Number 2 train needs to know to go to Recoleta. Number 3 train needs to go to Avenue Avila. Number 4 needs to go, huh? Exactly. So the thing is, that's how the body works. And what people don't understand goes back to another question that you asked. Biochemistry in a cell has 100,000 reactions per second. Light has 1 times 10 to the 36th light frequencies between 250 and 760. Actually, if you put up to 3100, which is terrestrial sunlight, so astronomical amount of power, each frequency, to control 100,000. But see, the problem is nobody asks the reverse question of the biochemist. How do you control 100,000? Like, what's your answer? They tell you, oh, it's receptors, fit, and it's bullshit. Just from the times phenomenon, you know that it doesn't work. But they never get asked their own bullshit. The light is what controls that. And this is the reason why all the different receptors in you matter, because it's making different frequencies of light. And it turns out, if we had things inside the cell called a photomultiplier that I could put in there, I would know for each dopamine receptor what light is missing, or maybe you have too much light in a tract. So for example, many people think in multiple sclerosis we're missing light. It's another autoimmune condition. I'm going to tell you, sometimes we have too much light in a system that can lead to that disease. Okay? And we don't think about it like that. You have other doctors out there in the world telling people, well, if you mind your mitochondria and eat vegetables and a paleo diet, you can get rid of it. That's bullshit. It'll make you better. There's no question about that. It's like you take 2 steps forward to get better. But is the goal of the doctor to improve your symptoms or to reverse the disease? That's a rhetorical question for you. See, if you're centralized, you're going to say, no, I'm okay, just make my symptoms better so I can go back inside my office and work under the blue light. And then what do they call the disease? Recurrent MS. Oh, why? Because you didn't fix it. It's the reason why they keep breaking money in Argentina and the United States. Because we didn't hang the people the first time when they did it. So what's my position? How about we fix the problem?
Veo que hablas muy mal de la medicina centralizada. ¿En qué casos vos recurrirías a la medicina centralizada?
So I heard you speak really bad about centralized medicine. So in which case would you actually recommend centralized medicine?
When you have acute injuries, you get a car accident, you're on a motorcycle, you break your skull or you break your leg. Centralized medicine is great at acute care medicine. They're spectacular. But when you have chronic medical condition, they suck. That's when you need to go, no bueno, no thank you, and do not trade money for that advice. Because that advice will get you big pharma solution, and that will dig the hole deeper for you to climb out of. And that's exactly what they want, because they want to make you a customer for a prescription for the rest of your life.
¿Cómo fue que descubriste los mecanismos internos de nuestro cuerpo que están siendo afectados por el sol, por la falta de exposición al sol con respecto a nuestra biología?
How do you discover all these internal mechanisms that happen with the sun or with the lack of sun?
It's not just a lack of sun. There's another side to it. That's why I said you got to be very exacto with this question. It's a lack of sun or light at night. Those are both as bad things. Then the other issue is, what light do you live under? Most people don't live under the sun. They live under that. You have it on your head now. You have it in front of you. You have it right there. So what light are you living under now? Those are the questions that need to come up, because guess what? What's the response that I'm going to look for in you? Where you're interacting with that light, and what is it going to do in you? So the answer is not as easy as you think. Most people think that this is a linear decision. It's not. In fact, it's a non-linear decision. And that's how everything in us works. Small stimulus leads to a big problem. And this is counterintuitive how patients think. They think, oh, for me to get cancer, it has to be something big. No, all you have to do is take a jab that your government told you to take. That's all it takes. If that jab does just enough, that's all it takes for you to get a stage 4 cancer and you to be mortal.
¿Esta información te lo dio tus estudios como neurocirujano o fue algo por lo que estudiaste después?
This information was given to you through your formation as a neurosurgeon, or was it after that?
I think both. I think it was, I learned the basics, but the big stuff, like the decentralized stuff, that came to probably the first 5 years, from like 2004 to 2010, reading things that were never in my textbooks in medical school. Those were, most of it was in Japan and Russia. So I had to translate a lot of this. And this is biophysics data. One of the key things that we found in the 60s, a certain scientist named Fritz Bach made new machines called photomultipliers. This is the first time that we could see all living things emit light. He proved it. He found out there was something very unusual about living things. They all make the same light. You know what light they make? The light the dermatologist tells you is no good. So again, when the dermatologist tells you something like that, you should turn around to the dermatologist and say, well, if this light and sun is so bad, why does everything on Earth emit it? You know why they can't answer the question? Because they never learned what he learned. When I learned that, instead of getting mad as hell, I knew right away that everything I learned was bullshit and I needed to follow this. I needed to see how this all works. And what did that lead me to? It led me to multiple discoveries. You know, I started to realize how chlorophyll and hemoglobin are the same and how they really are stories about light. Then I started to hack the periodic table and how atoms work with light. I started to understand why collagen has 2 copper atoms where it shouldn't be and what they do. I never learned that when I went through medical school. So the thing is, and I think what medical school gives you is the basics of centralized bullshit. And then it's your job as the doctor, once you finish medical school and residency, is to begin to answer the questions of your patients who come through your door that you can't answer with the textbooks. That's the true measure of what kind of doctor you are. And if you tell people, okay, I just think you're crazy, you have fibromyalgia, and take some SSRIs or, you know, gabapentin, you're pretty much telling the patient, I'm not intellectually curious enough, I'm too lazy, and I'm going to let big pharma, you know, deal with you for the rest of your life, and you're going to have to deal with it. That's effectively what chronic disease medicine is in the United States, and in Europe, and in Argentina. Because remember, everybody follows the United States.
Everywhere.
Correct. That to me is psychotic.
Coming back to the last question, you said, like, if you get a job from the government, like you're muerto. I wanted to ask you, what do you recommend to all these people that have to work in the computer the whole day in an office, right? Is there some measures that you could take to, like, lowering that UV light?
There are. But you know what the real answer is? I already answered it to you and you didn't realize it. Bitcoin. Because when you have enough money, then you don't have to work for a job that you don't need to work for. Remember, you're both laughing, but am I laughing?
No.
Remember, what I do now. Do I have to go and do surgery anymore? Nope. I did the same thing. She doesn't have to be a nurse anymore. We already sacrificed 30 years of our life, and we had to pay the price for it. So I got news for you. If you think working in front of that and you can mitigate is going to make a big difference, you're stupid. Big time stupid. No, your job is to live under the light that God or evolution designed you to be on. That's the real answer. Now, the answer you want The answer he wants, what's the effect of red light? What's the effect of the blue blocking glasses? What's the effect of this and that? Yeah, all good. But you know what? You just wanted to focus on the D, the E, the F, instead of the A, B, and C. And you know what I do? When I do podcasts, I don't let you focus where you want to focus. I'm going to tell you the truth. Get out in the sun. Get in the playa. Go swimming in the ocean. Swing a brick around on the beach. No. You may have to work this shitty job. But how do you do that? You save 10, 20% every check, and you put it in a Bitcoin. And all of a sudden, that little part becomes really big part. And then you go in 5 years down the road and tell your boss, hey, see you. Bye-bye.
Okay, tomorrow I'm starting with Bitcoin. You convinced me.
But that's how it is. You don't realize that Bitcoin is another job where you don't have to go to work, but it's working for you 24/7. And what does it allow you to do? It allows you to make better choices. You understand what sovereignty really means and freedom means. This is why I'm trying to explain to you that health and wealth are linked. When you have money that the state can't mess with, and they can't take it from you, then when you have enough and you say, okay, I don't need to kill myself, because that's what you asked me. Jack, how should we try to mitigate killing ourselves? You realize how stupid that question is when you think about it? But guess what? You're not the only person that asked me. Everybody asked me that, and they hate my answer. You know why? Because the answer is an inconvenient truth. You don't realize everybody is addicted to this bullshit. And they made this just so you would still be. That's why they use blue light. Because they know you'll use it more and more. You keep coming back. They don't care about you. It's like Big Pharma doesn't care. Big Tech and Big Pharma are like this on a nut, the same wing. Exactly the same. And the thing is, you need to start teaching him. He thinks right now, oh, this microphone's beautiful. This computer's beautiful. It allows me to do this and that. These are killing him too. The tattoos on him, killing him too. He just didn't know about that when he put him in. My job is to tell him, okay, enough. Go do something about it. And you get to choose. Remember, I'm not here to put my fingers in your nose and bring you and say, my job is to educate you. Your job is to decide if I'm crazy, like Malay and Bukele, or maybe there's something to this, and I'm going to try it. Because you already know everybody in the rest of the world who listens to centralized medicine, they don't get any better from type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Oh, take Ozempic. Take insulin. Take metformin. How's that work out? You're on it for the rest of your life. So you get to choose. And remember, when you're on the medicine, the rest of your life, you have to stay in front of the computer because you need the money to go to the pharmacy to pay for the bill. You do it my way, you get the Bitcoin, you're in the sun all the time, you don't need any medicine. That means you can put more money in Bitcoin. Then you can go buy a house somewhere else. You have more time, more freedom to do the things you want to do. And then you can pick and choose people in your family. I want to help this person out. This person has had a bad time, they're sick. I have enough money now, I'm going to bring them to my summer house. You get to pick who you save. It's your money, you work for it. Okay? That's what sovereignty is. You asked me, why did I come to South America? I chose to use my money to let my nurse see something she would never see without me. That was done by the work that we've done the last 5-10 years. Some people who watch this say, this is crazy to spend this kind of money. You're right, I agree. Crazy for you, but not crazy for me. You understand? Just like time is relative, so is money and so is health. You get to pick how you use your time wisely when you're sovereign. You get to pick how to use your money when you're sovereign. And if you're the smart one, you learn from everybody else's mistake. And then you mix the money and the health, and then you do the best you can do. And as long as you don't live or regret, I don't live or regret what I did. I mean, am I upset that I felt I had to go back and learn the true bullshit that was going on with COVID? Yeah, I was finished with medicine 4 years ago. But I had to go back in and find out. And boy, did I find out. And the thing is, now you get to choose if what I found out was valuable or not. Do I get the real benefit? Or do you? And then what happens? Then you're going to say, why did he really do this? Maybe so you can get your sovereignty back. Because, when I was his age or your age, I didn't have the problems, of being old and 60 and this and that. I didn't. I could piss my time away doing all this crazy shit you guys do. Going to LA. That's psycho. That's even worse than his tattoos. But here's the thing.
Estamos muertos.
But here's the thing. I don't beat you up for those decisions. And I'm not trying to beat you up. People have said to me, well, Jack, you don't look metabolically healthy. I'm like, okay. I said, you sound stupid to me. Why does my brain work better than your body does? But nobody thinks about it like that. It seems backwards. But you have to realize that my biology is really affected by light at night. It doesn't like it. Like Chantal will tell you, if I'm not in bed by 9 o'clock, I'm a very nasty person. I do not like light at night. Light at night for me is really, really bad. But see, that's something I learned about myself being a neurosurgeon for 30 years. But guess what? I went back and did 2 weeks every month for the last 3.5 years to find out the truth. So that should tell you something about me. I'm willing to sacrifice, just like he was willing to sacrifice the tattoos, just like you're willing to sacrifice Los Angeles to dance, and I'm okay with that. I don't have any problems with that at all. No one should tell you if your sacrifice is worth it. Initially, you made the decision, and you have to live with it. Now, some people may regret it, like if, God forbid, he came down with T-cell lymphoma under one of the tattoos, then he'd probably go, oh, shit. But you can't worry about it. Just like if I go and turn into a type 2 diabetic or I have sleep apnea, which I don't take any medicines. I already break the rules for United States. Why? I'm not on 12 medicines. By the time you're 60 years old in the United States, you're supposed to be on 12 different medicines. I take 0. I don't have any diseases. I think anybody who reads my blogs know my brain works pretty good. Right? I'm okay. Things can be better. We're working on that. I'm no longer going in to the hospital anymore for 2 weeks to learn the truth. I'm now telling you the truth. Sure, decide to figure out whether I'm full of shit or not. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm working for the people who took this.
So I had to take it because...
Now, stop. Never start with a question like that to Uncle Jack. Nobody had to take it. You chose to take it. Let me just tell you something. You just made the first big mistake with me. Everything is a choice.
Yes.
But guess what? The system was set up that you felt
That I
that
had no
you
choice.
had to do it.
Yes.
And that's the part of the state that I'm trying to warn you about. This is the reason why Bitcoin is important. Why? Because when the state told me that I had to do this, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I said, you need me more than I need you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how do you like that?
Yes.
And guess what happened? Then you're going to turn around and say, well, doctors can do that and patients can't. Bullshit. There's a lot of nurses and doctors that didn't do what I did. You always have a choice. Never, look, you're not American, but I'm going to tell you something very American about Americans. There's a very famous guy that's a founding father. He said, never trade security and freedom, ever. You'll always lose. And that's exactly what governments make you do. You have to be very aware of that. It's in our founding documents never to do that. But they create emergencies so that they force you to do it. So remember, who banned the incandescent light bulbs in the world? Joe Biden and Obama. And guess why? Because they knew they can control you more with blue light. That's a choice also. You couldn't choose. The state is making it for you. So you know what choice you have to make? Turn the light off. Or take the light bulb out. Or put a red light in. You know what they call my house in El Salvador? Casa Rojo. I don't have any of these light bulbs in my house because if somebody puts that light on at night, I won't have to shoot them with a gun. That's how serious I am about it. So no, don't start a question, I had to.
Right.
You chose to because you really didn't have a lot of choices and you didn't have enough Bitcoin so that you could tell them
Yes.
no, because you needed it to work or you needed it to travel. I get it.
Yes.
But that's a different way of answering the question. Why? Why am I spending this time with you on this? Because this is going to benefit people listening to this. You want to be a decentralized savage? Realize that you're going to face, as a young lady, many more decisions in your life where this is going to happen.
Yes.
You already fucked up the first one, don't fuck up the next one. Got it?
Yes.
Because this one could end your life. I can now tell you the reason I went back for 3.5 years. I know things now that I didn't know 3.5 years ago. And what I'm about to tell you is one jab could end your life. Especially if you do things wrong. Like you get tattoos, you live under blue light, you never go outside, you have light at night. You have 60 billion pieces of DNA plasmid every shot. If you took the Pfizer shot, not only do you have 60 billion pieces, you also have an SV40 promoter in your body.
That one.
And the SV40 promoter, this is like Russian roulette. And it's not just 1 year, 2 years, it's the rest of your life. But the state and the big pharma, they didn't tell you that. Got it? So why is this important for you to hear? Every decision that you're going to have to make the rest of your life, this decision is going to be the base risk. That means who you have sex with, you need to start to think about. Who has sex with you, they need to think about it. When you have babies, what's the effect of the baby? What's going to happen when you have to face decisions with other vaccines for the baby that use mRNA technology? All these questions are why Uncle Jack went back to the hospital to find out the answers, because somebody like you who's looking at me right now, you're like, oh, so there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Yes, and that's the reason I can tell you the next 20 years of my life, I think people are going to be asking me those questions more than any other. They're not going to ask me about coconuts and bananas and blue light. They're going to be like, how do we fix this problem that made all of us GMO? Because we complied. That's now the biggest story in the world, not just the United States, in the world. It's the biggest story that nobody in government, nobody in big pharma want you to ask.
That was my question. How do you fix or if it's possible?
I started answering those questions on my Patreon blog. Now, I'll explain to you why I'm not going to give you the answers on a podcast. A, this is how state medical boards come after doctors. So the answer has to be private. The other big issue is you're too young to know this, but when HIV came out, we didn't have an answer for HIV. So instead, Fauci gave people who had the disease drugs to kill them. That was called AZP. The drug he used with similar results in COVID was remdesivir. If you got that, you basically got killed in the hospital. But then eventually what happened with HIV? Over a period of time, research kept being done, and we started to find other drugs that actually could help people with HIV. So you know, in your life, excuse me, people that have HIV now, they don't die like they did when I was in residency in the late 80s and early 90s. These people live normal lifespans. Now, they have different unusual things about their biology, but they're not going to die. I think the same thing eventually is going to happen with people who took the jab. Now, do I believe there's going to be certain diseases that we see in people who took the jab, and they're going to be much more common with what company jab you took and what disease you get. Very similar to the story I told you about the train station before. Every jab is going to have a different disease profile. Do I believe that each country is going to have a different zip code problem? Yes. Remember, Buenos Aires is not like New Orleans. It's not like El Salvador. Do I believe the people that are going to have the less problems are the people that live closest to the tropics? The answer is yes. Got it? So you may begin to realize, does that mean people in Buenos Aires are going to have more problems than people in Mendoza? Based on what I already said. Correct. These are the things that you need to start putting together on a piece of paper. And then you need to understand, because when you go to your doctor here in Buenos Aires, what I just told you in this last 5 minutes, they have no idea. They are not looking at the aftermarket data, and their governments are not forcing them to do it. Where is this happening in the United States? Private doctors, public scientists. We are collaborating against the people in the government to try to keep this story down. The government in the United States is what caused this problem. The Department of Defense. Got it? And generally, when you deal with the Department of Defense, they don't like being told they're wrong. And they already got away with this one other time with the polio vaccine, 75 years ago. That's where SV40 first showed up in the vaccination program. Now it's in this one 75 years later. That wasn't a mistake. It was by design. And you need to understand what that means. That means if you're understanding where I'm going, what I'm going to tell you needs to be done is not going to be done publicly. It's going to be done privately between a patient and a doctor. No middlemen. That's what decentralized medicine is all about. You made a bad decision. Now you're going to have to follow through with that. You're going to have to realize you're going to have to do more. It's like being on the Titanic and know, if I don't jump in that cold water, I'm going to die. That's what people who took the jab need to realize. You're going to have to do more right than less. You understand now why Bitcoin's really important if you took the jab? Because it's the only way for you to get your freedom back to go to an environment where you're not going to get a turbo cancer, where you're not going to get kidney failure, where you're not going to get myocarditis, where you're not going to become infertile and you can't have your own babies. Got it?
Hay muchas personas que no tienen la posibilidad o no quieren elegir dejar su trabajo. ¿Crees que este tipo de personas puedan llegar a ser protegidas por el efecto paraguas, usando sus aparatos electrónicos quizá en un entorno más coherente?
So, he's asking about people that work in office and are exposed to all these lights and all these bad things, right? So he's asking if
We call that electropollution.
electropollution. Si hay algo.
Si el efecto paraguas puede llegar a proteger a estas personas para que puedan seguir trabajando en sus computadores en un entorno más coherente. El efecto paraguas, the umbrella effect.
Do you think the umbrella effect could protect these people?
What do you mean umbrella effect?
Using organic fluors like grass, for example, as a conductor to the ground, maybe they can protect.
No.
Okay.
I think nature has given us the basis. I think there is, how should I say, margin of safety. Like, in other words, in old days, like the Polynesians, they put tattoos on. Back then, tattoos, no big deal. Just like cigarette smoke, no big deal. But now, we have put so much electromagnetic pollution, bad food, computers, lights. We've done so many bad things. Now the jabs. Now, you're now over the limit. So what am I telling you? If you did the bad things, or you're doing the bad things, like, for example, since we just finished with the jab, if you work in a cubicle around the EMF, and you got tons of tattoos, you got to do something very, very fast to change your life. Like, if you engage in activities at nighttime predominantly, around EMF and electromagnetic pollution, you will not live as long as you should. You will be subject to the sausage grinder that's centralized medicine. You have to make better decisions. And no one is going to help you. You have to be the CEO of you. This is the sad part of the system. The system allowed you to do these things. Now they're telling you, okay, you have free will. Can't help you. You have to help yourself. And you have to realize, you may sound like you listen to this like it's hopeless. It's not hopeless. It's not. You can do things. Now you're awake. Now you know, okay, now I understand what I'm dealing with. So when someone says to you, hey, let's go have a drink after work, say, how about we meet on Saturday and we have a drink at 8 o'clock in the morning in a coffee shop? Or how about you come over and we have some mate on my front yard while the sun's out? In other words, you change the way you do things. Or if you're going to be in a cubicle, I'm going to start to use, blue blocking screens. I'm going to start using glasses. I'm going to start using daylight computer. I'm going to start drinking deuterium depleted water. If you took the jab, you may say, okay, your mother is sick, but you have to move to Colombia to do your job. And you say, normally I wouldn't do that, but I'm going to go to Colombia because I took 2 jabs. Makes sense for me to go to Colombia. Colombia is close to the equator. It's better than Buenos Aires.
El año pasado, estás hablando de Colombia, y el año pasado viajé al Tapón del Darién a un evento único en mi vida, se llama Survivor. Estuve 40 días viviendo como en el Paleolítico, intentando cazar, durmiendo en la mitad de la nada. Y generalmente tomo sol en Buenos Aires todo el día, pero en Colombia 1 hora de sol me mataba. Dolor de cabeza, inflamación. ¿Qué pasó?
So last year he went on a TV show that's called Survivors. He needed to be 40 days in like the middle of nowhere in an island, and it was in Colombia. And he usually gets under the sun like every day, and he's really good with that. But then in Colombia, 1 hour under the sun, and he was like knocked out. He was like a lot of headaches, inflammation, like he felt like really bad, and also he had to like get his own food. It was living like a Paleolithic lifestyle. So he's asking, why did he feel like that under the sun in Colombia? And
what does the lion do in Colombia? It goes and gets shade. But the show made sure they picked a place where they wouldn't have it. Understand? The show controlled the environment he was in. The show wanted to make it a TV show. So that made him dehydrated. When you get dehydrated, even when you have the sun, you exhaust the ability. He had to find clean water. If you didn't find the clean water, you can't offset the issue. Even walking around. The point, and this is a very good point, you come with amazing abilities inside you. But when the environment outstrips that ability, your mitochondria can't stay up. You understand? Mm-hmm. This is very, very important, because that TV show is designed to make sure they take away different parts of what you need to do well. They want to see when you're doing worse, does the cabeza still work? Where do you lose it the most? The funniest part that these shows always show, the people that usually do the best, turns out the people that have the most fat going into the show, they do the best. You know why?
They have reserves.
No, because they make water from their fat.
Oh.
And the brain works. You forgot when you were a little girl, you came out of your mom. Remember, you couldn't walk, you couldn't talk, you couldn't wipe your own ass, right? But you were a fat ball of goo and your brain wasn't fully developed. You used all your fat on your body for this to work. But when you're thin and you have no fat and you have big muscles, Big muscles, he found out, not a big advantage in Colombia. Were they? Isn't this is one of the things I tell your friends of gnomes, Nico, all the time? But modern people don't believe this. He experienced it. But you have to realize, they control that environment. Normally, in most environments with lions go in the shade because they have shade trees. They made sure where they picked for him, there's no shade. He has to build his own shade. Then he has to find water he can drink. They make sure the water is a problem for him. He's got to figure out how to do that. Then the last bit of thing is, can he create enough food in that environment to make it through 30 days? So what was his experience? His experience told him, when the environment is suboptimal, your mitochondria can't handle it. Mm-hmm. That's exactly the same story that Uncle Jack teaches everybody, but nobody sees what I just saw in his experience. I see it all the time. The thing is, how you experience it now is radically different. How he experienced it there, he's like, wait a minute. I'm a fit savage. I should be able to do this, no problem. But he learned something. But did he really learn? Did he really understand what really just happened to him? Got it? Mm-hmm. It's also the funny thing to hammer this point, because it goes to the story that shook you up a little bit about the jab. Mm-hmm. This is the reason why the story of centralized medicine with the jabs, they said, if you're physically fit, only the fat people are going to die. You know who's dying now? Him. People look like him, but guess what? Fat people aren't dying. You know why? Because all the liquid nanoparticles in the jab stored in their fat.
Otherwise, but in the fit people, they're storing the organs.
No, it's destroying their organs. Has no place to go. Got it?
So how do you get rid of it?
Guess what I'm trying to tell you? If you have many, many problems, the answer may be to get fat. No. Right now, that's the best answer we have. Why? Because we don't have the drugs like we had for HIV. But the one thing I can tell you from going back into the environment in the hospital, the people that I saw die were all the fit people. All the fat people survived. Shocker, huh? But this is what you don't get told. The other interesting thing is the people that smoked, they never died either. Makes no sense, right? But it makes sense when you understand his story about survival. Anthony Fauci built an environment in that job that's much like his survivor story. So my job as the decentralized clinician to figure out that story and then tell people things. And then when you hear it, you're like, let me get this straight. You want me to get fat and you want me to smoke? No, I don't want you to do that. But if you have 3 cases of myocarditis and kidney infection, that's going to come up.
Why smoking?
Because they use furin cleavage sites for the acetylcholine receptor. It turns out nicotine is the antidote to many of these problems. You didn't know that, did you? Well, my members knew it 3.5 years ago. You understand why it's no longer survival of the fittest, survival of the wisest. And he, not Jack, he just proved that I'm right. Because he experienced it himself. Every person with COVID in the hospital proved it to me. You have to be smarter and understand how the game has changed to make the right choices. It's not the choices you would make 50 years ago, but it may be the choices people have to make until we figure out another solution for these people with these problems. I mean, there's nurses right now that are sitting home with their hair falling out. They don't have their period anymore. They have no energy. Guess what? They may have to do things that they never even thought of. And I promise you, many of them won't do them because they're going to think that what I just said is crazy. But just like everything else Jack has done for 20 years, I'm going to get smarter and smarter and smarter as time goes on because people are going to learn what I've learned about what these jabs really do and how they act. And the liquid nanoparticles are a big part of the story. It's not just the DNA plasmids. It's not just the SV40. Each one of those things cause different problems. And it depends on what your problem is when you show up and I'm around and I see it. Then I'm going to tell you, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. The story is not going to be the same for everybody.
Increíble. ¿Por qué crees que la luz UV tiene tan mala reputación y los dermatólogos hablan tan mal de ella?
Why do you think UV light has so bad reputation, and why dermatologists always talk so bad about it?
That's easy. Paper came out in 1947. We used to irradiate women that had babies that had jaundice. We used to radiate them with UV light. UV light works better than blue light does on jaundice babies. When you have a jaundice baby, the jaundice happens because the red blood cells in mama break down and the baby gets it. This destroys their brain. So the reason why you have to treat this in a child is they get intractable brain damage. Why? Because they have no myelin to protect their brain. So they use UV light on these children. All the problem with kernicterus went away, but what did they notice? Some of the children got something called retrolental hyperplasia. This was a problem in their eye. Now, if you know anything about child's eye, there's no protection in the young baby's eye. So this is why it happened. So immediately, UV light and the sun got thrown the same. Is UV light that we use for a child in ICU the same as the sun? Didn't I tell you the sun has 7 frequencies? Did the UV light that they used have 7? No, it never got tested. They just threw it together. And why they never thought about it? Because they realized when they blocked UV light, they made more money for the last 100 years. And then Fritz Popp came and showed us, oh, by the way, every cell releases UV light. So in other words, what did Fritz Popp really tell us? We have a need to get UV light at a certain time. Now, when you're a baby, the first 6 months, you're trying to get it from the mother's tit. That's how it's supposed to be delivered to the child. But that assumes mommy goes in the sun every day. Now, one of the things I learned about Salvador, this is Latin culture. When you have a baby, first thing you do when the baby comes out, you put it in the sun in El Salvador. I didn't know this. And the old ladies in El Salvador told me, well, this is a custom in our country going back hundreds and hundreds of years. I was like, well, we don't have that in the United States. I don't know if it's true in South America. I bet you in other countries it is. But remember, your country is made by Spaniards mostly, not by Mesoamerican people. The Mesoamerican people were very connected to nature. You know, it's the Incas, the Aztecs, the people in Machu Picchu in Peru. That message probably has been in the culture longer because they know the child needs it. But the first 6 months, you're getting it from the mother. But if the mother doesn't have it, and, you know, I had to tell a lady today who argued with me, she goes, oh, no, I get it in the sun. I'm like, I can look at your skin and know you're full of shit. I know you don't. And then she finally told me, oh, but, you know, I take vitamin D pills. That's not the same. But you don't realize that if you're not in the sun, then the baby doesn't get the sun, and then you got a big problem. Everybody needs the sun. Now, how much sun you need depends on how big your problem is, but that's why the doctor has to sit down with you and figure out how big a mismatch you really have. And I can tell you, the single most important discussion is between women who are pregnant and the doctors. And the problem is the OBGYNs, they are about the stupidest people in medical school. They never think about these things. In fact, they tell women, don't eat seafood, it's no good. And I just told you, seafood's one of the best things to build the human brain. So you have to realize that, you know, your parents may have taught you, oh no, follow the doctor, they're going to try to help you. No. You have to be just like a Bitcoiner. Verify, don't trust. Not trust, verify. You know, you have to verify, and then you decide how you're going to, because remember, that baby is your artificial intelligence. That's your future. Never, never let anybody take sovereignty from you or your family away. That's what the state tries to do. Every time the state tries to put that vaccine in the day one, no. You have to begin to think like a savage. That's why when he asked the question about him being out in the jungle, he knows how they set the whole system up. But was he thinking about that? No, because he was in the game. I'm gonna kick ass and take names. But he wasn't using this. He wasn't looking at what the wild animals were. Not thinking like a wild animal. He's a zoo animal. A zoo animal from Buenos Aires they put in the jungle. That's an environment he's not built for now. But do I know with wisdom of the wild animal that he could do it? No problem. But can you film it? No. Can you film a lion in the wild or a jaguar or a puma? They're hard to see. They know what they do. They know how to navigate the environment. We do too, but look at the environment we have right now.
Hablaste mucho de aparatos electrónicos. ¿Cómo crees que estudiaste las microondas? ¿Cómo crees que estas afectan al cuerpo humano? Sabemos que no las vemos. ¿Cómo puede ser que nos afecten tanto?
What do you think about microwave? What do you think and affect us since we're unable to see it?
But you are able to see it. But see this, when you say that to me, I sit there and I go, are you kidding me? Everybody has a microwave oven. You put a piece of carne in there. You don't put any wet paper towel. What does it taste like? Shoe leather. You saw it. Why? It vibrates the water molecules so fast they evaporate. When you go on the plane, same thing happens to you. Exactly the same thing. Anything you put in the microwave, that's how it works. So guess what? Your phone works that way. All these things emit RF and microwaves. Doesn't matter. So the more time you spend with that, the more time you lose the water in your body. What did I tell you before about the job of the sun? Is to knock electrons out of the water. What happens if you don't have enough water? You don't have enough electrons. You just created a positive charge. You just created a disease. Simple. But to say, because you don't see it, you know the effect. The absence of evidence doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You just have to use this. Just like I told you before about him in the wild. You know exactly what microwaves do. Everybody knows. In fact, if you take a fork and put it in the microwave, how does that go? You get electric charges bouncing all over it. You can see the effect of light then, can't you? That's why they say don't put metal in the microwave. But you have no problem. Like, he's not going to take his penis and put it in the microwave. But guess what? Every time he gets on a plane to go fly somewhere, he puts his penis and everything else inside the tube. That's the same thing. And then 250 people watch Netflix, and then all his water in his body goes out. This is the reason why jet lag happens. This is the reason why some people get sick on planes. They get clots. This is why people have heart attacks. It's obvious, but you say it because you can't see it. Do you know that your eyes can only see one octave of the electromagnetic spectrum? But there's 73 other octaves. Microwaves are one of the ones. But you have a very intimate relationship with microwaves that you can observe. You don't even realize you have this power. You just assume you don't. But you do. Sorry to tell you.
Bueno, ¿qué opinas de otro tipo de medicinas, como por ejemplo experiencias somáticas o medicina germánica?
What do you think about other type of medicine like Germanic medicine or somatic medicine?
Well, it depends. Let me flip this around. 1,000,000 years ago, do you think we had any of this medicine? No. You are here today sitting with me talking as proof that nature can get you by. So why do you ask me this question? You know why? Come on.
Eh, Creo que hay muchas personas que están mal y hay que ponerlas adelante de diferentes personas para ver qué situación las va a sentir mejor.
He thinks that there's a lot of people that are not in a state of well-being. They are not feeling great, so they need to be in front of other people so they can feel better.
Yeah, but I don't think that states the case for medicine. The problem is when humans don't know, then they try to put something else into the equation. Maybe this will help. We call this in Bitcoin an oracle problem. In other words, you add a new variable to the mix. So this is how it first starts with the shaman in Germany, or the shaman in India, or the shaman in China. Oh, you have a bad element, take this worm. You have this problem, take this herb. You have this problem, take some cocaine. That's how it starts. And then when people say, okay, maybe I feel better, but do you have a deficit for any other chemicals in your body? No. You have a deficit in the environment. It's the exact same story I told him about his gladiator story. He had a big deficit in his environment. So this creates a negative in your head. I need something to make me feel better. And what you need to do is find a new environment that's better. That's what you really need to do. And see, wild animals are better than us because they move. We don't. We stay in Buenos Aires for our whole life. Got it? That's the real problem. And we keep building environments that get worse and worse and worse every decade. The environment's not getting better. They're getting worse, and we're getting worse. And we don't realize it. We think that we can throw more medicine, more light, more blue blocking glasses, more better computers. No, 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 no.
Estás en Argentina, que es el conocido como el país de la carne. ¿Qué preferirías consumir vos? ¿Mariscos, pescados, carne roja? ¿Qué es lo que tu postura contra este tipo de alimentación?
So you're in Argentina, the carne country, right?
Right.
So what would you prefer to eat here? Would you prefer like the seafood or more like the meat, since we have really high quality meat?
This one is probably my simplest answer because it's what I tell everybody about food. Eat what grows in the environment you're in. So Argentina is really good with certain things. Stick to what Argentina is good at. Like, for example, when they have grapefruit or coconut here, pineapple, almost, but not close enough. But carne is always good. Seafood is always good. That's tied to the photosynthetic webs at this latitude. I just think people make too much out of the diet. It doesn't need to be. And the reason why they make too much out of the diet is the same reason he asked me the question before. That's why they make too much out of the supplements, too much out of the herbs, the medicine and all things like that, because they think that there's something missing, because they're not doing well in a bad environment. They're not. The environment's that bad. That's take your shoe off, hit yourself in the head. It's the environment, stupid. That's what it is. Nobody wants to face that. Why? Because that's the hardest thing to change. And it's really hard when you think about some of the things we started the podcast with. You don't have any money and you're a slave to your job, how are you going to change the environment? It's very difficult. Do you understand now why the system is built the way it is? The system is built so that you'll always be an economic slave. This is why you need Bitcoin. Most people who are sick and poor, the best way to control poor people is make sure they're sick. Because they can't change their environment. Then they rely on the state. He said it. 50% of people in Argentina, they like the gravy from the state. Now you know the reason why. It's not that they're bad people. They look at this like a mouse in a maze who can't get out. And it never dawns on them, instead of going through the maze, to climb out of the fucking wall. And then walk on the top and get out. That's what you have to do. just like what he had to go through for 30 days. When you're in a bad environment, you have a duty to yourself to change it. But this is not what the system's going to teach you. It's not what your mother and father teach you. Your mother and father want to keep you close, but sometimes staying close is not good. You know, I would tell you the same thing. You may have a good paying job, but if the good paying job makes you sick, makes you go to LA, is it worth it? Remember what I told you before? You're the CEO of you. You get to decide. It's crazy talk. But that's when people get frustrated with me. I always come back to the same thing. You have to think from first principles. Your mitochondria is an electromagnetic antenna that pays attention to the environment. It spits out the signals that you give it. So when you made a decision and then the mitochondria doesn't work so good anymore, oh, you got a big problem. Oh, carne doesn't fix it. Oh, all of a sudden I can't drink wine. Oh, I don't like my boyfriend anymore. Turns out I don't like men anymore. You're like, what's going on? You don't realize your environment just took a big hit from this. Because now you have a different way to connect with the earth. Your mitochondria no longer can make the perfect fidelity connection. It's like when you're in the car and you have AM station and you go under a power line and it that's what disease is. It's exactly what it is. And you have to find that connection. The only way to find that connection is get rid of the bad engine so that it connects to where the earth and the sun are.
The Schumann resonance.
You got it. That's how this happens. This all makes sense. It's just an inconvenient truth. This is what makes decentralized medicine tough. Why? Because I can teach you. I know the science inside and out. But you know what you don't like? What you have to do. You have to start to really take responsibility for how you live your life and the choices that you make. I mean, I can tell you, I didn't want to make the decision I had to make 3.5, 4 years ago. But I knew, I had a feeling this was going to be a big decision for a lot of people, for a lot of reasons that I've talked about in other podcasts. I'm okay with people judging me whether that was the right or wrong thing to do down the road. But I did it really because of my kids and the future that they're going to see. The people that they have to choose to put in your life and not in their life. They have to make some big decisions. I'm not going to make it for them, but guess what? They didn't even know that these choices they had to think about. But you do.
Hay un tema muy de moda ahora que lo tratan en la medicina alternativa, que son los parásitos. ¿Has leído algo sobre esto? ¿Tenés alguna opinión?
So there is like a trend that's been talking about parasites. What is your opinion about it? What do you think about it?
I think parasites are good. I think people that talk shit about parasites should shut up. I think the people that have problems with parasites, they have problems with their own immune systems because they live in shitty environments.
Okay.
That's the truth. I mean, people that play in the mud and do those things, they have competent immune systems, parasites don't bother. But the people who do get those diseases, your immune system is not good. It's the same reason certain people get colds and flus more frequently than not. Exactly the same issue. You know, you don't get your immune system from a mask. Many mothers think bacterial soap and all this bullshit they put on the kids. No, you let your kid play in the mud. But if you know that your kid keeps getting these infections, or you're a woman and you have 13 urinary tract infections in a year, you might want to stop going to Los Angeles. You might want to start going in the sun and getting chocolate brown instead of pasty white. Maybe that's a good choice. But that's not something the functional medicine doctor is going to tell you, because he makes money selling your poop to the medicine doctor to find out, oh, you have this, no doubt, take this. $2,000 later, you still have a sorry. So sorry.
So what's the best time to be out in the sun, if there is one? What's the best
When the sun's
exposition?
out.
What
Think about what you just said. Does the lion ever have that question? Why do you?
My question is like, is there a difference for black people than for white people?
Absolutely. Why? Black people can stay out in the sun way longer than white people can.
Exactly. So that's my question.
Right.
How?
You just answered it. If you have blue eyes and white skin, you have to make wiser choices than people that live in equatorial Africa. Equatorial Africa, they don't have to worry. They can do it 24/7. But you have to realize I'm 59 latitude, gringo from the top of the world. I live at 13 latitude. I can stay outside all day. She'll tell you I do all the time.
Yes.
So you have the ability in you to change that about you. But you right now, you can't go out in the sun longer than probably 20, 30 minutes.
No, I can. Yeah, I came from LA last week and it was winter, so I've been like all this during this past
Well,
week.
guess
I've
what?
been going in the sun and then
Out in the sun.
yes.
But the best time is in the morning. Probably sunrise to, I think, 10 a.m. The more diseases you have, the longer the time needs to be. What's the shortest amount? There is no short amount. As much as you can get. Then the second thing you do is the end part of the day. Say 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. You know, this time of the year here, because you guys just started summer. But my rule is when the sun goes down, the lights go down. That's the key. See, my big issue isn't the sun. My big issue is light at night. That's my real big problem.
And it's 7 o'clock, so.
Yeah. So she's telling you, we're getting ready almost to be done. Because remember, tomorrow morning I'm flying back to the winter,
yes.
not the summer anymore. But the minimum amount of sun, I think, for say if you're healthy, I think 30 to 60 minutes. I think if you're sick, say you have 1 to 3 diseases, 2 hours. Anything more than that, probably 4 to 6 hours.
And that should be in the hardest time of the sun, like when it's
No.
not more, or it
Depends
could
where
be
you
any
live.
time.
Because remember, the hardest time of the sun differs where you live. Like that answer is different for people in Venezuela and Colombia and Ecuador than it is for people right now in Iceland or in Patagonia. Patagonia right now, everybody needs to be in the sun all day because the sun stays out now all day. I know that. I was just there 2 weeks ago. Stayed light out till midnight. All day. But they don't get it because in a few months it's going to be dark there all day
Yeah.
where they don't get the sun. So you have to realize the standard answer you want is not the standard answer you get. It depends on the situation you're in. And are you built for that environment or not? Think about what he just said. He's built really well for the environment that he's in now. But when they put him in an equatorial environment and they changed some things around, this was tough for him. Well, think about that in the question you just asked me. Hopefully most people understand this is the reason why you need to sit down and parse this out with somebody who understands what they're talking about. Because what's good for you isn't good for everybody else. And it has to do with your haplotype, your skin type, your eye color. What diseases do you have now? Do you take any medicines now? What are your symptoms? What are your problems? Like he had no symptoms before Gladiator, but he had a lot of symptoms during Gladiator. And then he had no way to mitigate those while he's in the TV show. Because the TV show was changing his environment. You may say the same thing about your job. My job made me take a job. My job made me go to LA. My job made me do, okay, change your job. The answer is easy. No, it's easy to say, not so easy to do. But you have to decide. Is it better to have money or be sick? Again, that's a choice for everybody to make. My opinion, being sick chronically is the fastest way to poverty. At least in the United States. More people go through medical bankruptcy in the United States because they're sick. I don't know what the answer is in South America. I don't know the data that well here, but I'd be willing to venture it's pretty sizable. And I think those are the things that you have to think about. But do I think patients should have access to doctors who actually think like this? Yes. You know, because you may have to bounce these questions off of people. And, you know, people think they can get this information on the internet or Twitter. People do this to me all the time on Twitter. They tell me this. I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell you this. I can't practice medicine on the internet. That's exactly what my country wants me to do so they can't do that. You become a member, you ask me the question, and then when I say, okay, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this, tell me, answer, then I can tell you. It all works.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Maybe a
Stay
photo
in
before
touch.
going?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so glad we got to do this with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Jack?